Hello everyone and welcome to Messy Trough. Today's project is a sewing project. There are two things I would probably need: a sewing machine and sewing knowledge. I have none of those things, so enjoy this mess. The thing is, I had this old sweater that was in a poor condition, so I thought that I could use it as a base to make something new. I bought some fabrics and found another old sweater that I had and made the design. I focused on covering the parts of the fabric that were in the worst condition. The first thing to do was to take apart the sweater and undo all the seams. This took way longer than I expected. Once that was done, I started with what I thought would be easier: the sleeves. I know nothing about sewing or patterning, so I used the sweater as a reference to cut the new pieces. I started by making a strip to make the sleeves wider. I needed to cover some stains in one of the sleeves, so I cut the part of the fabric that was marked and used it to trace the silhouette in the new fabrics. Then I just had to cut it and sew it together. This project was a mess, so here it is the first mistake I made. I don't know why, but the sleeve wasn't symmetrical. This was easy to fix. I just cut it symmetrical. With the sleeves finished, I started with the front. I needed to cover some stains, but I was not happy with the design I did, so after observing the fabric for a while, I decided to improvise. I cut one of the pieces to get rid of the stain and used it to trace it in the new fabric, then sew it together. The process for the pockets was the same: cut them, trace them, and sew them. Now it was time for the hood. I wanted to replace the interior, so same process. I made the pieces using the originals as a reference and sewed them together, probably upside down, because there was a gap that was not supposed to be. A gap that I decided to cover with a patch because I was not going to restart this. All the parts were done, so it was time to sew them all together and make the sweater again. To finish everything, I made the decorations. I decided to start with the yellow strip. I cut the fabric to size and marked the part where I wanted the embroidery to be, and then embroidered the little fish. I had to iron the strip to make it flat. The last thing to do was the back decoration. I tried the original design with the little fishes, but I did not like it, so I changed the plans again and made a bigger fish. I read somewhere that you can use Posca in fabrics if you iron them afterwards. I don't know if it will look good after washing it, but this is the best I could do. I embroidered some parts to make them pop, and then sewed this patch to the sweater. I was not exactly happy, especially with that wobbly line. I tried to make it straight while ironing, but it didn't work. So again, my friends, I covered this mistake with a patch. And that's it. This project is done, at least. I stabbed myself with the needle a ton of times and had a headache every time I thought about this project, but it is done and it looks better than I expected. So thank you for watching, and I hope you enjoyed this video. Remember to subscribe to the channel and like it, please. I wish you had a good time and see you, I hope, in the next video. Bye!